his call to stop all Muslims from entering the United States. This is both a shameless and a dangerous idea.
What was proposed yesterday is not what this party stands for, and more importantly, it's not what this country stands for.
Mr. Trump's not a serious person. He's not a serious candidate.
Well, there you've got Hillary Clinton and the Republican establishment slamming Donald Trump after he suggests banning all Muslims from entering the United States temporarily until they can figure out what to do about the problem.
But is this something that the GOP should actually be teaming up with Democrats on, you ask? 2016 presidential candidate Carly Fiorina joins us now. Okay, Mrs. Fiorina, this is a hot topic. As an outsider yourself, would you separate from the establishment and say, I would run as a third party if you didn't feel as though they were behind you?
Well, look, I think the Republican Party has lots of candidates with lots of different points of view. But a temporary ban on all Muslims entering the United States won't work. Listen to what you reported this morning. We have incompetence on behalf of the federal government. They missed a fake address in a fiancé visa. They missed these two radicalized Islamic terrorists who apparently were radicalized years ago, but despite all the metadata collection, they missed it. This is government incompetence, and further, it would not help us figure out who's trying to harm us here at home, and it isn't a plan to destroy ISIS overseas. So it won't work. I have a plan to help us here at home identify these people, which involves, among other things, making sure that we re-examine all these visa programs, making sure that our investigators have access to every piece of data they need, which involves engaging the private sector, because the Patriot Act was written in 2001. That's 14 years ago. It's generations in technology. Right. But the private sector can help here, and we must deny them territory abroad. By the way, Hillary Clinton doesn't have a plan. Barack Obama doesn't have a plan. But Donald Trump doesn't have a plan either.
So James Comey came out yesterday and said, listen, with that, before those Texas shooters were gunned down, there was 109 different communications overseas we can't get to because the telecoms aren't being transparent. Is that going to attack that, your plan?
Look, we must engage the private sector. Let me tell you a story.
But they don't want to engage back.
When I was the CEO of Hewlett-Packard, not true. When they're not being appropriately engaged. I've been in the telecom industry. I've been in the technology industry. I know how long these companies hold on to records. When I was the CEO of Hewlett-Packard, I was asked for very specific help right after 9/11 by the NSA. I provided that help. My company provided that help. The technology sector is an innovative place. They have moved so far beyond the Patriot Act, and sadly, the terrorists have moved with them. But our government, no. Our government is a vast, inept bureaucracy right now. When our FBI head says, whoops, we missed it, just like we, whoops, missed the Boston bombers, we have to deal with government incompetence. And we must engage the private sector in solving this problem. But meanwhile, you know, waving your arms and talking about banning Muslims temporarily does nothing. It does nothing to deny them territory abroad, which we must do, and it does nothing to protect us at home. So let's get a real plan to protect us at home and to deny them their territory overseas. I have such a plan. I've been in and around our military and our intelligence capabilities for years. I know most of our Arab allies. We have to actually do something that works instead of waving our arms and trying to sow conflict.
All right, so you've detailed parts of your plan, and we talked earlier about Donald Trump's temporary Muslim ban. You don't like that, and yet, Ms. Fiorina, when you look at the brand new Fox News poll taken down in South Carolina, half of it was taken before the plan that he announced, the other half after. Before the plan, 30% of the people said that they would support him, and then afterwards it spiked to 38%. And there's a Bloomberg poll that say 2/3 of primary voters like his ban. They like the idea.
Are the American people getting it wrong?
Well, I think the American people are afraid. I understand that. And the American people are frustrated. I understand that, too. And so it is irresponsible of someone to play on that fear and frustration and not offer a plan, but instead just fan the flames of fear and frustration. We actually have to do something about this. When Donald Trump is asked, what are you going to do about ISIS, his answer is, oh, you don't want to know what I'm going to do. That's because he doesn't know what he's going to do. Fear and frustration are real. I understand them. But we have to solve the problem. And that takes leadership, and it takes practical solutions, not simply playing on people's fears and frustrations, which are real.
Joining us from Concord, New Hampshire this morning, Carly Fiorina. Carly, thank you very much for being with us today.